If a woman tells you her problems, it means she wants to. Psychology tricks. Love doesn't ask for solutions. It asks to be understood. Have you ever noticed what happens after a woman confides in you? She talks about her stress, her doubts, her frustrations. You listen closely. You try to be supportive. Maybe you even offer advice. And then, slowly, something changes. No argument. No clear reason. Just a quiet emotional distance that wasn't there before. Most men brush this off. They assume she just needed to vent, or that the conversation didn't really matter. But that assumption is exactly where attraction begins to fade. When a woman shares her problems, she's rarely asking for answers. She's observing you. That moment is a subtle test of emotional presence, strength, and awareness, and many men fail it without realizing a test ever took place. It's not about saying the right words. It's about the energy you bring, the patience you show, and whether you remain grounded instead of reactive or overly logical. Get it wrong, and what could have built connection quietly turns into emotional withdrawal. In this video, you won't learn how to console or rescue a woman. You'll learn what she's actually assessing when she opens up, and why men who understand this unspoken dynamic are the ones women feel drawn to, while others are left wondering when and why things changed. 1. She's not just venting. Most men hear a woman describe her problems and instantly file it under venting, like it's just emotional steam, just noise, just something to nod through until the weather clears. And that one casual label is the first quiet mistake, because the moment you decide she's just venting, you start treating her words like background music instead of a message with a destination, and you slip into lazy listening. You wait for your opening statement, you rehearse solutions, or you hunt for the quickest off-ramp to change the topic. Don't do that, because you're not standing in a boring conversation. You're standing at a psychological intersection where one path builds connection and the other path slowly starves it. And here's the twist that most men miss. When she tells you her problems, it often means she wants to feel understood before she feels fixed, and that is not a flaw in her thinking. It's how emotional trust gets built in real time. Be honest with yourself. Your brain is trained for repairs. You see a problem and your instincts snap to action. Diagnose, plan, solve, execute. And that mindset can make you very successful in business, logistics, and anything with a measurable finish line. But relationships don't run on efficiency. They run on meaning, and meaning is made through attention, not answers. You must understand the real subtext. She's not handing you a math equation. She's handing you access. She's showing you what weighs on her, what scares her, what disappoints her, and what she hopes could be different. And when you meet that with instant problem solving, she doesn't feel helped. She feels handled, like her emotions are a task you're trying to complete. Don't confuse speed with strength, because the strongest move in that moment is to slow down and aim your attention like a spotlight. That sounds exhausting. I can see why that bothered you. Tell me what part felt the worst. And yes, those sentences can feel almost too simple, but that is exactly why they work. Simple is safe. Simple is clear. Simple tells her you're with her. This is where psychology tricks come in, not manipulative games, but the kind of clean mental switches that turn awkward conversations into bonding moments. Instead of jumping to solutions, ask one clarifying question, then reflect the emotion, then ask what she needs. Do you want me to listen, or do you want ideas? And that question alone separates a man who's present from a man who's merely nearby. Be direct. Be calm. Be steady. Because this is female psychology in action. Many women experience intimacy as he gets me, not he fixed it. And if you give her the first one, the second becomes welcome later. You must also recognize the hidden test that isn't really a test. She's checking if you can hold her reality without trying to control it. And if you can, she relaxes, she softens, she starts associating you with relief. And relief is attractive in a way most men underestimate. Don't take it personally when her story is messy, emotional, or circular. Emotions loop because the nervous system is trying to settle, and your job isn't to interrupt the loop with a lecture. It's to help it land with understanding. And if you want to know how to fall in love in a way that actually lasts, start here. Fall in love with the process of listening well. Because deep love isn't just chemistry, it's the repeated experience of being safe with someone. That is why your just venting assumption can quietly kill attraction. You're basically telling her, without words, your inner world is inconvenient. And even if you never say it, she feels it. Be the man who makes her feel like her inner world matters, not because you're trying to win her, but because you have the maturity to value what's real. Now, let's sharpen it further with a few more psychology tricks you can use immediately. Don't multitask while she talks, because divided attention reads as disrespect even if you mean well. Don't one up her with your own story, because it turns her moment into your stage. Don't minimize with "it's not that bad," because that phrase is basically emotional eraser fluid. Instead, be the anchor. Use steady eye contact, a calm tone, and short affirmations that show you're tracking, like "I'm following." That makes sense. Keep going. And if you're tempted to fix it, hold your solutions for the end, like a tool you only pick up when asked. You must understand this is female psychology at its most practical. She's not seeking a mechanic, she's seeking a teammate. And when she feels you're on her side, she becomes more open to your guidance later. And yes, this becomes part of how to fall in love for both of you, because when you stop treating her emotions like a problem and start treating them like information, you begin to see her more clearly, you respond more wisely. And you create a bond that isn't built on perfect days, but on honest ones. Lastly, don't try to be clever in the wrong way. Don't joke too early. Don't logic her into silence. Don't rush her to positivity. Be warm. Be grounded. Be consistent. Because the most effective psychology tricks are usually the least flashy. Listen like it matters, validate what's real, ask what she needs, and then act accordingly. And if you do that, you'll notice something almost funny in its simplicity. She'll start talking to you more, trusting you more, leaning toward you more, because you didn't treat her problems like noise, you treated them like a bridge. And that bridge is where connection lives, where attraction grows, where respect deepens, and where two people quietly learn, again and again, how to fall in love. 2. Why she's bringing it to you. Why she's bringing it to you is the question most men never stop to ask, and missing that question is where connection quietly slips through your fingers. Men bond through action. You do things together. You work, build, compete, fix, move. You talk sideways while your hands are busy. Emotions often sit in the background, not because men don't feel, but because feeling is rarely the entry point. So when a woman starts opening up, the male brain rushes to categorize. Is this a problem I need to solve? Is this noise I should ignore? Is this something I need to manage before it gets bigger? Don't rush that process. Because the most important question is not what do I do with this, but why is she bringing this to me? That is where meaning lives. That is where attraction either grows roots or slowly dries out. Here's the reality most men were never taught. Women don't open up emotionally at random. They don't just unload their inner world on whoever happens to be nearby. Emotional sharing is selective. It costs energy. It requires vulnerability. It creates exposure. And people don't spend that currency casually. If she didn't care, she wouldn't bother. If you didn't matter, she would keep it surface level, polite, light, distant. So when she brings you her thoughts, her worries, her confusion, her frustrations, she is making a choice. Be clear about that. Be grounded in it. That choice alone tells you something important about how she sees you right now. This is where many men accidentally downgrade themselves without realizing it. They treat the moment as neutral, as if it means nothing, as if it's just emotional weather passing through. Don't do that. The act of sharing is not neutral. It is intentional. It means she sees you as relevant enough to witness her internal state. That relevance is fragile. Handle it well, and it deepens. Mishandle it, and it fades into emotional background noise. And once you're background noise, attraction rarely finds its way back. If you want to understand what it means to be a high-value man, start here. A high-value man doesn't panic when emotions show up. He doesn't rush to shut them down. He doesn't feel threatened by them. He stays steady. He stays present. He understands that emotional moments are not traps, they are openings. Don't confuse calm with passivity. Calm is control. Calm is confidence. Calm is masculine energy expressed correctly, not loudly. When she brings something to you, she is not always asking for answers. Sometimes she is asking a quieter question. Can you hold this with me? That is not a test designed to make you fail. That is an invitation. Be the man who recognizes it. Be the man who understands that listening without rushing is not weakness, it is restraint. And restraint is attractive. You must also understand how this ties into attraction at a deeper level. Women often bond through emotional exchange. Sharing creates closeness. Being received creates safety. Safety creates openness. And openness is where attraction grows. If you dismiss, minimize, or rush her emotional expression, she doesn't just feel unheard, she feels misjudged. Don't say, it's not a big deal. Don't say, you're overthinking it. Don't jump straight into solutions unless she asks. Those moves don't make you strong. They make you inaccessible. If your goal is to attract women in a grounded, lasting way, learn to value these moments properly. Attraction is not built only through charm, confidence, or appearance. It's built through repeated experiences of being understood. That is why emotional relevance matters more than clever words. A high-value man knows that his presence alone can regulate a room. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation. He doesn't need to perform. He needs to be there, fully. This is also where masculine energy shows its best side. Masculine energy is not about control. It's about containment. It's the ability to remain centered while someone else is processing. It's the ability to listen without collapsing or attacking. It's the ability to say, I hear you and mean it. When a woman feels that from you, something shifts. She relaxes. She opens. She associates you with steadiness. And steadiness is deeply attractive. Don't underestimate how rare this is. Many men either emotionally disappear or emotionally overcorrect. They either detach completely or rush in with fixes and lectures. Both miss the mark. You must stay balanced. You must stay engaged without hijacking the moment. That balance is what separates men who are tolerated from men who are chosen. And remember this. Whether her sharing turns into attraction or fades into nothing depends entirely on how you treat that moment. Not later. Not after you've had time to think. Right then. Right there. Every time she brings something real to you, she's quietly asking if you're someone she can trust with more. Answer that question wisely. If you want to be a high-value man who can attract women naturally, stop seeing emotional sharing as a burden. See it as information. See it as access. See it as a signal that you matter in her world right now. Don't waste that signal. Be present. Be calm. Be attentive. That is masculine energy used correctly. That is how you attract women without forcing anything. And that is how relevance turns into connection instead of fading into silence. And now listen closely. If this message landed, don't let it pass without action. Drop a comment right now and claim it. I understand why she brings it to me. That single sentence reminds you that her sharing is not random, not noise, not a burden, but a moment of relevance you either rise to or lose. If you agree, comment it below, like this video, subscribe for more psychology tricks, and remember this every day. When she opens up, attraction doesn't grow from answers, it grows from how you show up. 3. Emotional gatekeeping. There is a critical psychological truth many men between 35 and 70 never fully grasp, and misunderstanding it quietly costs them respect, clarity, and leverage in modern relationships. When a woman tells you her problems, she is not doing what she does with everyone, and she is not simply being emotional. She is making a deliberate choice, because emotional access is never public property. It is selective, guarded, and filtered through instinct, safety, and discernment. Men who fail to recognize this mistake openness for noise and miss the signal entirely. Women may laugh in many rooms, joke with many people, and share light stories without consequence, but emotional disclosure is different because it involves fear, uncertainty, private frustration, and inner tension, the unpolished parts that are never shown without reason. When those come out, it is intentional. This is emotional gatekeeping in action. When she speaks about her problems, she is not asking to be rescued, fixed, or absorbed into emotional chaos. She is observing, measuring, and deciding whether you are capable of remaining steady while reality is placed in front of you. This is where men either rise or quietly remove themselves from relevance. As Carl Jung once said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed, and the reaction she is watching for is not excitement, not urgency, not anxiety, but composure. Modern life is fast, loud, and mentally exhausting, and most people are reactive by default, which means a man who can listen without flinching immediately separates himself. This is not about being silent or distant. It is about having an iron mind, the ability to stay present without being shaken, to hear complexity without collapsing into it. Old Stoic wisdom teaches that control begins internally, not externally, and nowhere is this more evident than in emotional moments, because when you remain grounded, you communicate strength without words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this insight applies directly here. Her problems are not a test of your solutions, they are a test of your stability. Men who rush to fix often fail. Men who dismiss fail faster. Men who dramatize fail completely. The man who listens calmly, acknowledges without exaggeration, and responds with clarity demonstrates leadership in the only way that matters in private moments." This is how Stoicism plays out in real life, not as philosophy, but as behavior. Emotional gatekeeping means she is deciding who gets closer to her inner world and who stays on the surface, and this decision is influenced by how you handle pressure, uncertainty, and vulnerability without becoming overwhelmed. In modern relationships, where emotional noise is everywhere and attention is cheap, steadiness becomes rare and rarity creates value. As Friedrich Nietzsche observed, he who cannot obey himself will be commanded, and a man who cannot regulate his inner state will always be ruled by external emotion, never respected by it. When a woman speaks about her struggles, she is subconsciously asking whether you can hold space without losing structure, whether you can remain calm without withdrawing, whether you can engage without being consumed. This is where Old Stoic wisdom becomes practical armor, where Stoicism is not theoretical but lived, and where the iron mind proves its worth. The advice is simple but demanding. Listen more than you speak, respond slower than you feel, and never confuse emotional openness with emotional instability. You are not there to absorb her stress. You are there to remain solid while she expresses it. This posture builds trust quietly and deeply. In a world where many men chase approval and over-explain themselves, the man who stays composed sends a powerful signal. He is safe, he is grounded, and he understands reality. Emotional gatekeeping rewards that man. Remember this from every angle. Repeat it until it settles into instinct. When she shares her problems, she is choosing you. When you stay calm, you justify that choice. When you hold steady, you earn more access. This is how men master emotional dynamics, how they master modern life, and how they move forward with confidence, clarity, and purpose, guided by Old Stoic wisdom, strengthened by Stoicism and anchored by an iron mind. 4. You are being tested. When a woman tells you her problems, you're being tested in a quiet, invisible way, and this moment carries far more weight than most men ever realize. You may think this is just conversation. You may think this is about listening, comforting, or offering support. Don't be fooled. Something deeper is unfolding. When she opens up, she is not simply releasing stress. She is observing you. She is feeling you. She is asking a silent but powerful question without ever saying it out loud. Can this man remain steady when my world feels shaky? That is the real test, and it has nothing to do with how smart you sound or how fast you respond. She is not evaluating your logic. She is not searching for solutions. She is not even measuring kindness in the way most men imagine. She is measuring emotional stability. She is watching whether you can stay grounded while she temporarily cannot. This is one of the most misunderstood elements of female psychology, and understanding it is one of the most valuable psychology tricks you can ever learn. Many men fail here because they misunderstand the role they are meant to play. They interrupt. They rush to fix. They give advice she didn't ask for. Don't do that. That behavior doesn't signal strength. It signals discomfort. It signals that you cannot sit with emotional weight without trying to escape it. Be still. Be calm. Be present. That is what she is looking for. When she speaks about her problems, she is placing emotional pressure into the space between you, not to see if you can remove it, but to see if you collapse under it. That is the distinction most men miss. She wants to feel that even when she is overwhelmed, you remain centered. That calm presence creates safety, and safety is the foundation of attraction, trust, and long-term connection. This is how female psychology works at a deep level, far beyond words. She senses it before she can explain it. If you mirror her stress, she feels unsafe. If you become anxious, she feels alone. If you rush to solve, she feels misunderstood. Don't absorb her emotions. Don't distance yourself either. Stay grounded right where you are. Listen fully. Let pauses exist. Let her finish her thoughts. That silence is not emptiness. It is strength. This is where real connection is built. This is where many men accidentally sabotage attraction without realizing it. They think they are helping, but they're actually showing that they need the emotional situation to change before they can feel okay. You must be okay first. That is the role. That is the test. When you remain emotionally steady, something shifts inside her. She relaxes. Her nervous system settles. She feels supported without being managed. This is one of the most effective psychology tricks because it is not a trick at all. It is emotional leadership. And emotional leadership is essential if you want to understand how to fall in love in a way that lasts. Love is not built on constant happiness. Love is built on knowing that when things feel uncertain, someone can remain solid. Be that man. Don't dramatize her problems. Don't minimize them either. Stay balanced. Acknowledge her feelings without drowning in them. That balance speaks louder than reassurance ever could. In female psychology, consistency matters more than intensity. She is watching patterns, not moments. One calm response may not mean much, but repeated emotional steadiness builds trust over time. That trust becomes attraction. That attraction becomes attachment. This is how to fall in love without forcing it. This is how connection deepens naturally. You must understand that when she opens up, she is offering you a window into her inner world. How you behave in that moment tells her whether you are safe to let in further. Don't rush. Don't perform. Don't try to be impressive. Be present. Be grounded. Be emotionally clear. This is not about saying the perfect thing. It is about being the right energy in the room. That energy communicates strength, reliability, and emotional maturity. These qualities matter deeply in female psychology, especially as people grow older and value peace over excitement. Men who master this don't need to chase. They don't need to convince. They don't need to manipulate with shallow psychology tricks. Their presence does the work. When a woman feels that she can be emotional without destabilizing you, something powerful happens. She feels free. She feels understood. She feels connected. That is how to fall in love in a way that feels natural and secure. Remember this. When she shares her problems, she is not asking you to carry them. She is asking if you can stand beside them without losing yourself. Don't panic. Don't overanalyze. Don't shut down. Be solid. That is the test. And passing it quietly changes everything. If this message opened your eyes, don't just watch and move on. Act. Like the video, subscribe for more insight, and comment below to lock this lesson into your mind and signal that you understand the test. Comment to remember, I stay grounded when emotions rise. 5. Why fixing pushes her away. It is one of the hardest truths for many men to accept, especially men who genuinely care and believe they are doing the right thing. This is where a lot of good men quietly lose women without ever understanding what went wrong. They listen carefully. They pay attention. They lean in with sincere concern. And the moment she finishes explaining what's bothering her, they shift gears. Advice starts flowing. Strategies appear. Solutions stack up. Fixing feels natural to men because it is how many of us were taught to show care. Do something. Improve the situation. Make the problem disappear. That instinct makes sense. But here is the paradox you must understand. When you rush to fix, she doesn't feel helped. She feels unheard. Don't confuse intention with impact. That is the lesson. When you move too quickly into problem-solving mode, she doesn't experience relief. She experiences distance. Instead of feeling understood, she feels corrected. Instead of feeling supported, she feels managed. And her nervous system notices immediately. It reads that energy as pressure, not presence. Be clear about this. Emotional connection is not built through solutions. It is built through attunement. When you fix too fast, you shift the dynamic from partnership to instruction, even if you never mean to. The more you fix, the more she closes. That is not because she dislikes you. It is because her system is protecting itself. A high-value man understands this difference deeply. He knows when to act and when to stay still. He knows that presence often matters more than performance. When a woman shares what's troubling her, she is not handing you a task list. She is inviting you into her internal world. Don't rush through the doorway. Don't rearrange the furniture. Be there. Listen. Let her finish. Let her breathe. That space you create is not passive. It is powerful. This is how you naturally attract women without chasing or convincing. Calm presence creates safety. Safety creates openness. Openness creates connection. When you interrupt that process with fixing, you unintentionally shut it down. You must understand that emotional expression is not a problem to solve. It is an experience to witness. Be patient. Be grounded. Be steady. That steadiness communicates masculine energy far more clearly than any advice ever could. Many men believe that silence means disinterest. That is not true. Thoughtful silence signals confidence. It shows you are not overwhelmed by emotion. It shows you can stay centered even when the conversation carries weight. Don't panic when you don't know what to say. You don't need a perfect line. You need presence. Say less. Mean more. A simple acknowledgement can do more than a detailed plan. That sounds heavy. I get why that would be frustrating. I'm here. These words don't fix anything, and that is exactly why they work. They tell her she is not alone with her experience. That is what she is really listening for. This is where many men unintentionally drain attraction. They believe leadership means direction at all times. It does not. Leadership sometimes means holding space. A high-value man knows that emotional steadiness is leadership. He doesn't rush to prove usefulness. He already knows his value. When you stay calm and attentive without trying to control the outcome, you project masculine energy in its most grounded form. Not loud, not forceful, just solid. This is what helps you attract women who are emotionally mature and seeking real connection, not surface-level excitement. Understand this clearly. Fixing too fast communicates impatience. It suggests that her feelings are an inconvenience to be resolved quickly. Even if you don't mean that, the message still lands. Don't defend yourself against that truth. Learn from it. You must slow down your response if you want to deepen connection. Let her talk. Let the story unfold. Let emotions settle naturally. Often, she will find clarity on her own simply because you gave her room to think out loud. When that happens, something powerful occurs. She associates calm, relief, and clarity with you. That association builds trust. Trust builds attraction. Attraction builds intimacy. This is not theory. This is lived experience. A high-value man does not need to fix everything to feel useful. He understands that his presence alone has weight. He is comfortable not being the hero in every moment. That comfort is attractive. That comfort signals security. This is the quiet strength of masculine energy. It does not rush. It does not explain itself. It does not compete with emotion. It anchors it. When you stop fixing and start listening, you don't lose relevance. You gain depth. When you resist the urge to manage her feelings, you allow her to trust them. And when she trusts her own feelings around you, connection deepens naturally. Remember this. When she talks about her problems, she is not asking you to take over. She is asking you to stay present. Don't interrupt the process. Don't jump ahead. Don't assume responsibility that wasn't given to you. Be patient. Be attentive. Be steady. That is how you attract women without effort. That is how a high-value man moves through emotional conversations with confidence. And that is how masculine energy quietly does what force never can. 6. Emotional containment. When a woman tells you her problems, it is not a test of your intelligence or a request for a repair manual. It is a moment that calls for emotional containment, the quiet strength to remain steady while the storm moves through her. Because what calms her is not your solution, but your stability, not your words, but your presence, not action, but control of yourself. And this is where many men fail in modern life, by confusing leadership with fixing, when in truth leadership is holding the line inside your own mind. Emotional containment means you do not rush, you do not argue, you do not defend, you do not explain, you do not try to win the moment. You simply stay grounded, breathing slow, listening fully, letting her emotions exist without resistance. Because the moment you jump in emotionally, you become part of the chaos, and chaos never brings calm. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And that strength is felt instantly by the people around you, especially a woman who is opening up. Because she is not looking for answers, she is looking for safety, and safety comes from a man who is unmoved by emotional turbulence, a man who practices Old Stoic wisdom in daily life. A man who understands that Stoicism win moments are built through restraint, not reaction. In today's world of constant noise, notifications, and emotional overexpression, your ability to remain centered is rare and powerful. And when she speaks and you listen without interrupting, correcting, or steering the conversation, you send a clear signal. I can handle this. I am here. I am not shaken. And that signal does more than any advice ever could. Because as Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. And what you must be in these moments is calm, solid, and present. Many men think silence is weakness, but silence used with intention is authority. Silence is mastery. Silence is the iron mind at work. And when you hold your composure, you allow her nervous system to settle naturally, because emotions are contagious, and calm spreads just as fast as panic. So if you want peace in your relationship, you must become peace, not perform it, not pretend it, but embody it fully. Emotional containment is not passive, it is active self-command. It is choosing not to react even when your instincts tell you to jump in, explain, or take control. And this skill carries far beyond relationships, into leadership, business, and life itself, because the man who can remain centered under emotional pressure wins everywhere. And that is why Old Stoic wisdom has endured for centuries, because it teaches you that mastery of self comes before mastery of circumstances, that Stoicism win is not loud or flashy, but quiet and undeniable, and that an iron mind is built through repeated discipline in small moments like these. In practical terms, this means when she speaks, you slow down. You listen without planning your response. You acknowledge what she feels without labeling it. You stay physically relaxed. You keep your tone steady. And you resist the urge to fix what does not need fixing, because fixing is often about your discomfort, not her needs. And the moment you realize that, you step into real masculine maturity. Modern life pressures men to perform, to solve, to produce instantly, but emotional leadership demands patience, presence, and control. And as Seneca said, he who conquers himself is the greatest warrior, because conquering yourself is harder than conquering any external problem. When you practice emotional containment consistently, you create relationships that feel safe, respectful, and deeply connected. You reduce unnecessary conflict. You become someone others trust in moments of uncertainty. And you move through life with clarity and confidence, because you are no longer pulled into emotional turbulence that does not serve you. Remember this clearly and repeat it to yourself until it becomes instinct. She does not need you to fix. She needs you to hold steady. She does not need solutions. She needs presence. She does not need intensity, she needs calm. And every time you choose restraint over reaction, you sharpen your iron mind, you honor old Stoic wisdom, and you prove that Stoicism win is not theory, but lived experience. And this is how you master life, one composed moment at a time. 7. Grounding versus carrying. When a woman tells you her problems, there is a quiet test happening, and most men miss it because they confuse grounding with carrying, and that confusion slowly drains attraction without either person realizing why. Grounding means you stay present, steady, and emotionally available without absorbing her feelings into your own body and mind. Carrying means you internalize her stress, take ownership of her emotional state, rush to fix what was never yours to fix, and allow her turbulence to shake your center. One creates safety and desire. The other slowly dissolves it. Do not confuse empathy with emotional self-sacrifice. Be calm. Be rooted. That is grounding. Carrying feels noble at first because you want to help, you want to be useful, you want to be the solution. But female psychology does not respond to a man who loses himself trying to rescue emotions that were never meant to be rescued. When she shares a problem, she is often not asking for a solution, not asking for emotional fusion, and certainly not asking you to fall apart alongside her. She is asking, without words, "Can you stay solid while I am not?" That is the moment that defines attraction. You must listen without drowning. You must care without collapsing. That balance is one of the most misunderstood psychology tricks in relationships. Grounding looks simple on the surface. You listen. You nod. You reflect. You stay present. But inside, you remain anchored. You do not tense up. You do not scramble for answers. You do not treat her emotions like a fire alarm. Carrying, on the other hand, sneaks in quietly. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts race. You feel responsible for changing her mood. You rehearse solutions while she is still speaking. You feel uneasy until she feels better. That is the shift. Attraction fades not because you care, but because you care in a way that removes polarity. Female psychology is wired to respond to emotional steadiness, not emotional absorption. When you carry her feelings, you send an unspoken message. I can't stay centered unless you are okay. That is not reassuring. That is pressure. Grounding says something very different. I can hear you. I understand you. And I am still myself. That creates trust. That creates safety. That creates space for how to fall in love without forcing it. Do not interrupt her story with fixes. Don't rush her to positivity. Don't turn her emotions into a problem-solving exercise unless she clearly asks. Be present. Be slow. Be attentive. Let silence do some of the work. Silence is not absence. Silence is strength when used correctly. When you ground her, your calm nervous system invites her nervous system to settle naturally. When you carry her, your tension amplifies hers. This is why so many men feel drained over time while doing what they believe is the right thing. They're carrying, not grounding. And attraction does not thrive in emotional exhaustion. Psychology tricks are not about manipulation. They're about understanding invisible dynamics. One of the deepest truths in female psychology is that emotions want space, not ownership. They want to be expressed, not managed. They want to be witnessed, not fixed. You must allow her emotions to exist without making them your responsibility. That does not make you distant. It makes you dependable. When you stay grounded, you become a stable reference point. When you carry, you become emotionally reactive. And reactivity slowly erodes desire, even when intentions are good. Grounding is also about boundaries, not walls. Boundaries say, I am here with you, but I am not losing myself. Walls say, I don't care. Carrying says, I care so much that I disappear. None of those extremes build lasting connection. The grounded man listens fully, responds thoughtfully, and remains internally calm. He doesn't borrow stress. He doesn't mirror chaos. He doesn't turn emotions into a scoreboard of how well he is performing as a partner. He simply stays present. That presence is rare. That presence is attractive. That presence teaches you how to fall in love without force or fear. Remember this when she opens up next time. Don't tense. Don't fix. Don't absorb. Be steady. Be attentive. Be grounded. That is not emotional distance. That is emotional leadership. And once you understand this distinction, these psychology tricks stop feeling mysterious and start feeling natural, because the more you practice grounding, the more attraction grows without effort, the more respect deepens without words, and the more you understand female psychology as something to honor, not carry. 8. How men lose women quietly. This is how most men lose women. Not through a fight, not through betrayal. They lose them quietly. It starts small, almost invisible. She shares less. She keeps things lighter. Stories become shorter. Emotions become edited. The deeper conversations slowly disappear, not because she has nothing to say, but because she has learned something painful through repetition. She learned that opening up does not lead to connection. It leads to distance. So she adapts. Don't ignore this moment. Be alert to it. That is the warning sign most men miss. When a woman stops sharing her inner world, she is not being mysterious. She is being careful. She is protecting herself from the feeling of being unheard, rushed, corrected, or emotionally handled instead of emotionally met. And once that door closes, it rarely slams. It just drifts shut, quietly, politely, without drama. A man often believes he is doing the right thing. He listens halfway while thinking of solutions. He responds with logic when emotion was offered. He minimizes without realizing it. He stays silent when presence was needed. He jokes when seriousness was invited. None of this looks like failure on the surface. But inside her, a conclusion forms. This is not a place where my inner world lands safely. That is not anger. That is clarity. And female attraction does not survive long once that clarity settles. A high-value man understands this moment is not about fixing her feelings. It is about holding space without shrinking it. Don't interrogate. Don't rush to conclusions. Don't turn vulnerability into a task to complete. Be present. Be steady. Be curious. That is how you attract women without trying to perform or impress. Masculine energy, when grounded and calm, invites openness. When distracted or defensive, it quietly shuts it down. When her sharing becomes lighter, many men relax. They think things are easier now. Less emotion, less depth, less tension. That is the illusion. What is actually happening is emotional withdrawal, not peace. She is no longer investing her inner self. She is conserving it. And relationships do not end when women stop loving. They end when women stop sharing. You must understand this distinction. Love can exist quietly for a while, but attraction needs engagement. A high-value man notices the shift early. He doesn't panic. He doesn't plead. He doesn't pressure. He adjusts his presence. He listens with intention. He asks without prying. He responds without correcting. That is masculine energy at its most effective, calm, grounded, and emotionally fluent. This is one of the least talked about ways to attract women long-term, not through intensity, but through consistency. Don't wait for a crisis to change your behavior. Don't assume silence means comfort. Be the man who makes emotional expression feel welcomed, not risky. Be the man who can sit with complexity without shutting down or taking over. That is what keeps connection alive. That is what keeps desire engaged. A high-value man doesn't demand openness. He creates the conditions where it feels natural. That is how you attract women without force. That is how masculine energy becomes reassuring instead of overwhelming. And that is why men don't usually lose women in loud, dramatic moments. They lose them in the quiet spaces where listening stopped, curiosity faded, and presence was replaced with assumption. Hey, thanks for staying with me till the end, my friend. If there's one thing you should remember from this video, it's this. When a woman shares her problems, she's not asking you to be a superhero or a fixer. She's quietly asking, can I feel safe with you right now? So don't rush, don't panic, don't over-explain. Stay calm, listen fully, and be present. That steady energy speaks louder than any clever words ever could. Real strength isn't about having all the answers. It's about being grounded when things get uncomfortable. That's what builds trust. That's what makes a man unforgettable. If this message helped you see things more clearly, take it seriously and apply it the next time it matters. Growth starts with awareness, and respect grows from emotional stability. Thanks again for watching. Take care of yourself, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next video.